What's up guys, welcome back to the garage. Hot as balls as always. Carl here, Origin Alpha, more Honda stuff. So we've got this guy, pretty tidy as you'd think. A little bit of a flat tire there, but very clean, very tidy car. The old K20, she's a Type R, not so common blue interior, pretty bloody sick. Let's see how many Ks. Oh, good 250, still healthy. So, now this one is something special. We've had someone come visit. Someone no one really likes. It's kind of like that family member that shows up during Christmas, you know, bit of a dick. And yeah, that's old, have a listen here. Yeah, Uncle Rodney. No good. So, she has quite evidently got rod knock. Now, the previous owner, okay, so the story is the friend of mine has brought this vehicle and got it cheap, obviously. Got it very cheap actually, very tidy car for what it is, and its age and everything. And yeah, so he brought the car, but the previous owner actually ran this either low on oil or without oil. Now that's obviously quite a big issue, especially if you go into VTEC, things like that, because your fuel pressure will drop quite a lot actually when you dip first into VTEC, and that's probably where Uncle Rodney popped his fucking ugly head, didn't it? So she's cooked. We're gonna have to pull this motor out. Motor box, all of this has to come out. It's a bit of a nightmare. We want to keep the aircon going, so that means dropping the motor below, which isn't a big deal. These are actually a lot easier to drop under, just given the tight constraints on the top. I mean, side to side, back and forward, gets a little bit finicky getting these out. So we're going to drain all the fluid. We're going to get it up on jack stands, drain all the fluids, get all that crap out of the way. Battery, power steering, aircon needs to be pulled to the side, all of that stuff. Yeah, that's our start. We'll pull the motor, we will get it on a stand where we'll clean up our mess, because I guarantee I'll make a mess out of this. We'll clean that up, get the car back outside. We'll get the motor on a stand just like this one here. This is the K24 from that from Kanjo. We'll get it next to it, we'll strip it down, we'll have a look, see how bad it is, and then that's when I'll get out my tools. I'll clean everything obviously, so we've got a clean place to work. Get out the tools, we'll spec everything, we'll look at the crank, we'll look at the bearings, we'll look at the rings, all of that, and from that point we'll be able to move forward. And like, rod knock's pretty bad. It is, admittedly, it's quite bad, but it's not the end of the world. It is actually repairable. So what you do is you pull it down, clean it, assess the damage, and worst case is a new bottom end. That's if it's really bad and your crank is just cooked. This one, I feel like it's just the bearings that are gone, or bearing number 3 cylinder, I think is the one that I tested. You rotate the motor, get a screwdriver, push down on the piston, and you can hear it just tick. You can hear it, that there's no bearing in it. I'm pretty sure it's number 3, so being a singular, hopefully we can just polish the crank, maybe go oversized bearings, or if the tolerances kind of work out in our favor, we can just go a little bit over, run a little bit heavier oil, and we'll be sweet. Nice fresh engine. He has brought a few quality kits so far for rebuilding it, so we're going to rebuild the head, the block, we'll do the rings, we'll hone it, we'll surface everything. That will bump up compression like a 15th, but everything counts, especially when you're still going to be NA. We're going to have a look at, sorry, bloody camera work today. Going to have a look at a cold air intake. This one is kind of like a hot air intake. Yeah, sucking in hot air straight from your exhaust into your Chinesium pod, into your whatever this is. Looks like you got it from like plumbing supplies or something. Into, I don't know why, but still retaining a split. This is actually really common on these DC5s. These bloody things split, usually on the bottom side, and you don't notice until you have to take it off for some god knows, like doing your starter motor or something. They split a lot. But anyway, we're gonna have to do a cold air intake. He's got a good exhaust and everything on there, but I'm gonna suggest grabbing some headers while I've got the motor out, because I can put them in. It's already got like a full cat back. I don't know how that works. It's not a full cat back, it is a cat back. So maybe like delete the cat, get some headers in there, make a bit more power. He's already looking at like Honda, different ECUs and stuff, so I can get a tune on it. It's already got coilovers and everything. we'll go through, have a look under the car, just because I'm a nosy OCD bastard. We'll look at all the bushes, brakes, everything like that for him. Check everything out, and yeah, so yeah. First up, drop all the fluids, make a hell of a mess, get the motor out. And that looks something like this. Right boys, so first issue that we've run into is that these axles will not come out. Like, I have kind of mushroomed the head on this side, and that's due to using a big freaking hammer trying to whack these bastards out, but they're not coming out. They are seized in there. Spent a good amount of time trying to get them out. I've let them soak for a while and then had another crack today with WD-40, but that's not helping. So given that I have to take the whole underside, the whole subframe out anyway, it's not the end of the world that I need to take off the lower control arms. So what I'm going to do is, I've already got the top done, I've already pulled the fluid out of the brake reservoir, and that's also not the end of the world because the fluid that was in this car was nasty, so I need a bleeding anyway. So what I'm going to do now is pull off the brake line obviously, and we're just going to take the whole hub assembly, the whole axle and the lower control arm off and out, both sides, because they're both seized, and then continue on as normal. Like we would have had to take out the lower control arms anyway just to get the subframe out and clear, and then drop the motor down. Yeah, we'll continue on with that and we'll get it done. And this is pretty much the goal, boys. This is what we want. So engine is out and on the floor. It's a case of jacking up the car, lowering the motor back and forward, just getting it right. So our aircon unit is up here, zip tied off to the side. What you want to do is lower the whole car and motor. Lift up the car a little bit so you can see the 4 bolts on the aircon unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll be able to get those off. It's just a 12mm rattle gun. Take it off so you can retain your lines without having to breach the system and then regas it later. You can just keep a zip tie handy. Definitely keep one handy because you don't want to be holding it and you don't want to crease the lines, and just zip tie it up. And yeah, whip those 4 bolts off, zip tie the aircon up, and then you can lower the motor down. That's completely disconnected now, and you can see with it on a jack. I think this jack has something like a crazy 800 height raised 605mm. Yeah, so this has got a pretty high top height. This is maxed out as well, I might add. Yep, that's maxed out, and you can see there is enough space, but even maxed out, when you're pulling it out, you got to get it right, or else you will foul, you will snag on something. But yeah, not too hard. So yeah, let's get this out. We'll pull this out, strip the box off it, and chuck it on a stand. She's out, boys. Out and on a stand at that. Next up, yeah, a little bit dirty, or a lot dirty. General diagnosis, I guess. You can probably tell the rocker cover seal has gone most of the way around. The VTEC solenoid seal has gone, leaking all the way down here. That's cooked. Yeah, that's a fairly decent leak too. Alright, so that's obviously going to be replaced. You can see all this clutch, well, quite literally clutch. It's been in there for a while, being an organic clutch. they tend to leave, you can see the fibers as they wear. Give me that. I'm gonna have seen worse. Oh, classic Exceedy. You can hear the springs rattling. So one thing to check if you do have an Exceedy clutch, let me just make sure this is one. It might just be the purple backing. Have a gander, good gander. It's not branded, doesn't look like it is anyway. So I saw the purple, made the brash assumption that it was Exceedy, but given that the springs are rattling, you can kind of see it up here, that wear there. It's on all of them actually. What happens is they tend to walk out of the plate here. You can see the movement, a little bit of movement's okay, but it starts walking and it starts pushing the lip of these out and they start to split. If you've got a lot of power, you will actually crack one of these pretty quickly and you'll know about it. So suggestion for this chap is going to be a new clutch, plenty of material, but he's looking at making more power, so it's good insurance. The face seems pretty good, not too bad, but what we want is a little bit more clamping force. And with the box and stuff off now, looks like it's an OEM pressure plate, OEM flywheel. This is actually really good condition, never been skimmed. You can feel the lip is quite raised, so it's never been skimmed. Gonna suggest a new clutch, just because it is in the state it is now. I mean, everything's off, and we'll get ourselves a new, yeah, you can see it's a little bit dirty. New throw-up bearing stuff too, because that's probably cooked in the terms of temperature at least, and coated in all this crap for so long. Probably grab some output seals. There's a lot of shmoo here. Now I'm not sure if that's from the seal leaking, or most likely it's actually just built up on that seal that's collected on the oil from the rocket cover gasket. And it's noted that this is split here. So around the front, let's have a look at the front of this guy. Man, I didn't actually bite on my knee and it is the freaking worst. It's only small, but damn. Anyway, front looks good. There's no visible large leaks of damage or anything. There's a little bit of oil that's been sprayed around here, so that's probably the front seal, which is cool because we can replace that. Water pump feels good. Alternator was charging and was good. What do we got? When I used the spanner on this, it was good, had a nice amount of tension, and it doesn't. What I'm testing here is the back and forward, this way, that way. There's no real crazy amount of movement or play, which is good. Alternator is a little bit dirty, not the end of the world. We are going to clean it all anyway. And everything else seems all above board. Again, more grease and oil under here. We'll have to investigate where that's coming from. It's all coming apart anyway, so a lot of my time will be spent cleaning this. I don't so much like sending it to machinists looking like that. They don't like it, I don't like it. Customer doesn't like it because it's more expensive for them to clean it than it is for me just to get the gurney, soak it overnight and have a good jam at it. We'll go over here and look at this too. This needs a good clean. See all the oil wet and oil dry. I'll give this a clean before it goes back in as well. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Pretty nasty. next day. Obviously I got the bag clean, we got everything up under the arches and everything all sprayed down, nice and good, nice and clean. Oh, that one's loose too, damn. Alright, we're gonna have to go over the whole car. Yep, bay's clean, done, dusted. Quick squiz, starting to rain again. Look at that. Boom. Look at that, nice and clean. A little bit of rust to attend to, that's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. We're gonna pull the fluid out of the clutch as well, because that looks nasty. Otherwise, man, comparatively, this thing cleaned up real good. So next up, what we need to do is, trans turned out mint, subframe turned out mint, so good. Engine turned out mint, like everything's coming up clean. Obviously not the final clean, but man, for the first like gurney, pretty bloody good. You can see there's still schmooing now. I'm gonna get in, pull all that out, clean it when it's all apart, and that is what's next. So we've got rod knock, that's determined. We need to pull the motor apart top to bottom. And the reason for that is, even though it's probably likely that it's just bearings, that bearing material is going to be throughout the whole motor now. It's going to be picked up by the oil pump and it is going to be pushed through the whole motor. The reason that this one here is the way it is, this is the K-Frank. This is cooked because they did not clean all that bearing material out. It has gone through all the bearings, it's gone through the oil squirters, it's gone through everything, and just complete waste of time building the motor essentially. Absolute waste of time. Didn't do the right thing, didn't clean it properly, waste of time. So that's next on this. This is what we'll be doing next. Cleaning this whole thing top to bottom. We'll determine what rod it is or journal and go from there. So that'll be the next video. Thank you for watching this one. Like, comment, subscribe. Put oil in your motor. Yeah, oil in your motor is always a good start, and yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one.